So, like I explained when I was unboxing Eaglemoss's Delta Flyer replica, I actually ordered a bunch of things all at the same time, and now they're just kind of trickling in over the course of the last week. Um, Yesterday, I got another box in the mail, which I have not opened yet, and I was going to do it today, but then this one showed up about 10 minutes ago at this point, and it kind of made the mistake of calling my dad over, like, hey, you might find this of interest, and we opened it out of the box and we looked at it, and now I'm scrambling because, like, oh, I want to do these. I want to record my initial reactions on camera, and stupid me decided to look at it down there. So technically, this is still an unboxing, but technically, I've already opened it and actually hands-on with it. So sorry, sorry, sorry. Uh, but I'm absolutely not sorry with this particular purchase. This is This is probably one of the very first pre-orders that I've ever purchased. Usually pre-orders just come and go. I'm like, I'll wait for other people to have their opinions on the matter, and then I make my decision. But I'm like, you know what? I'm dedicated to the cause, and at this point I am ravenously in favor of the cause. So, one of the first times ever I purchased a pre-order on an item that had not come out yet. And that I did that purchase in I think it was in July. It was in last month. It was like mid-July when I made this purchase. So it's like only just now getting to me a week later. So I'm really looking forward to this one. This is just, oh, this is so sweet. What am I talking about? I am talking about Eaglemoss's first wave release of the XL edition U.S.S. Orville from the Fox, now Hulu, television series The Orville. Oh my God. This was announced about 5 months ago. Like, just, or no, I'm sorry, this was announced last year. This was announced in 2019. Oh my God. Oh my God. I can't even tell you how enthusiastic I am for this right now. This is ridiculous. All the humming and hawing, oops, all the humming and the hawing and um, yeah, well, I like these Star Trek starships because I like the look of them, but they're from a show that I don't give a shit about, that nobody asked for, that nobody wants, that nobody likes. And now this is actually the first Eaglemoss purchase that has absolutely nothing to do with Star Trek. This is the very first one. Um, Although, quick thing, and small spoiler, I actually purchased the shuttle as well. But for whatever reason, this was the only thing in the box. So, like, maybe the shuttle's coming out later on? I'm not entirely certain. So, look forward to an unboxing of the shuttle later on. But yes, I am very, very much looking forward to getting my hands on this. Although, technically, about 12 minutes ago, I already had gotten my hands on it. So, let's get into this bad girl. Okay. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, the U.S.S. Orville from the Star Trek homage. This thing, let me just say, we need this right now. We need something like this. This is good news in Hollywood. This brings a genuine smile to my face and just genuine relief that there is still some sanity happening right now in America. I cannot tell you how happy I am, how thrilled I am. It reminds me that there is hope for humanity, and I know that that's a cliche to say that. Oh, seeing this humanitarian thing gives me hope for the future of humanity. Something like the Orville gives me hope for the future of mankind. I cannot tell you how unfair it is that I have to treat the Orville like a. Is this battery dying on me? I don't know. That I have to treat the Orville like a life raft. It's unfair. It's incredibly unfair that I have to do that. That I need to use this as a life raft. And yet, this can be more genuine and sincere than anything that Star Trek has produced in the last close to 11 years. 11 years, and Star Trek has fallen and fallen and fallen and fallen. Although nowadays, I tend to say that Star Trek is in hibernation. It's waiting to come back. What we're being offered right now is not Star Trek. The Orville, the existence not just of this ship, but of the television series and what it represents, proves beyond a shadow of a doubt Star Trek still exists. Yes, it was made by the rival 20th Century Fox television or whatever it's called. Yes, it was absolutely made by the rival, and no, it is not. It does not have anything whatsoever to do with Star Trek. But on the other hand, it has. Yep, those LCDs and lights are definitely burning out. Or the This proves that Star Trek, the spirit, the life, the heart of Star Trek is still alive to this day. The existence of this show proves it. And that is something that Alex Kurtzman, CEO of Secret Hideout, and Jar Jar Abrams, the leader or whatever position he holds at Bad Robot Productions, neither one of them understands this. And that's why there is this pop culture war that is happening right now. This is a life raft for Trekkers, and perhaps even for Star Warsians, Whovians, Terminator fans, James Bond fans, a whole bunch of things like that. All of them are. We are right smack in the middle. I don't want this to be a preaching unboxing. I apologize if I do, but like this is relief for me. This is relief. This is release, okay? So you need to understand there's a lot of pent up frustration and angst and frustration that's still there. Like I might have purchased the U.S.S. Corolla from STD, and even the redesigned U.S.S. Enterprise. I purchased those things, and I'm like, they come from shows that a show that I will never watch, that I will never support, that I will never embrace, and this is just flat out dying. But I can't get 100% satisfaction out of it because, like, just externally they look neat, but I know that internally, just the design of the sets, the design of the costumes has nothing to do with it. It has everything to do with the content of that shit pile that we've had to deal with for almost 3 years now. The Orville is such a relief. I cannot tell you how genuinely thrilled I am to have this in my hands. And like I said, I'll say it again. This is a relief. This is a that things will work out okay. Now, as of recording, the third season was delayed because of the thing that YouTube will not let us talk about that comes from the place that YouTube won't allow us to talk about. So that is a factor that is at work. But we do know that behind the scenes, not only is there a fantastic casting and crew that's working behind the scenes, but we also know that the studio, which is Hulu, well, nowadays it's Hulu, is fully behind it. So we know that this show is secure and will continue on for at least another 3 years. Assuming, of course, that they can get back to shooting, which no one knows at this point. I'm sorry, I have to be PG there, but this is so important to me. This is really, really important. And I do my best to stay or to keep my channel away from politics. I do my best to stay away from like legitimate hashtags and whatever things. I do my best to stay away from that. I really am. It is frustrating. Like, I've got my political opinions, and I'm doing my best to not say anything about it because I don't want my channel, small as it is, to get dragged down by that. But this is a representation, is a physical representation of me, of what I'm feeling right now. So please forgive me if I'm sounding a little political or a little pro social. Let's call it pro social. This is unfairly holding a lot of hope for me. I don't use that word very often, and I certainly don't use it with the heart that I'm feeling right now. But this fills me with hope. This is really important, and it came exactly when we needed it. Star Trek used to do that, but now that mantle of responsibility has fallen onto the Orville. And so, yes, absolutely, I'm putting a lot of cookies and a lot of brownie points into it. So, this is an important thing. What else am I going to talk about? The history of the ship design? I don't know. It's just kind of like it's neat, and that's it. There is a degree of yes, I bought this to support the cause. There is a degree of that. Yes, absolutely. Hmm. The what's it called? Quantum drive. Yes, the quantum drive, which is these three hoops around here that always light up in sequence, one, two, three, or whichever order. Um, I just noticed the blue bands, which is absolutely getting destroyed by that LED, the LEDs. These blue bands. Let's see. I'm trying to get. Actually, I'm gonna pull it down here. You can kind of see them, but they're kind of curved and out. You can see it's a very pale blue, is what it is. Um, they're actually not just somebody taking a brush and just stroking all the way across without stopping. No, they're actually it's actually individual. I don't know how well you can see that, but they're actually individual segments that you're seeing there, and each one has been individually stamped all the way around. And of course, each and every one of these is a different shape and a different size, which means you have to, excuse me, hiccups, have to individually stamp each and every one. Wow, that's good quality. In terms of materials, let's see. There is die cast metal. There is. Is this top ring and is this top? Yes, it is. Okay, so the top. Let's see. I'm going to pull back here. So the top of the hull and this top ring here, all of that is die cast metal. Um, and that includes the top of the shuttle bay, which I'll try to show you. I'm not certain. If I had one complaint that I actually noticed when I initially unboxed this downstairs when I was showing my dad, so the shuttle bay seems to be the kind of the dark gray selection of dark gray that they had there. They it wasn't the paint was not applied very evenly. Um, so yeah, the paint applications to the shuttle bay are a little. Eh. Now that definitely looks like somebody just took it. Maybe I'll try and show you. So here's the shuttle bay. It's real tiny comparatively. It's real tiny. Um, but the shuttle bay, despite the lighting conditions here, I apologize. But the shuttle bay, it clearly just looks like somebody did a pass with a brush, just a single pass or a second pass. But it's not. It's not very well. There's. You can see there's. It's inconsistent paint app right there. So off the top of my head, only having this in my hands for a couple of minutes, I would say that's probably the biggest problem right there. Is that or at least in terms of paint decoration, that's a problem. So, but on the other hand, this is a first run. This is a first run release, so it's going to have. I have no doubt. I've never, like I said, I've never pre-ordered before, so I have no doubt in my mind there's going to be inconsistencies in whatever it is that are happening on here. The other thing is that I have not memorized the. Oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Huh. I didn't know that. So it turns out. Yeah. Okay. So just quick finishing this up. If there are inconsistencies in the decoration, I don't know. Um, because I have not memorized the design of the USS Orville. So, something I just noticed, and this is a canon thing. I did not know that the Orville has it has a hull number and the name painted on the ship. Actually, no, it's raised. It's right there. It says what is it? ECV 197 Orville. It says it right there. But here's the curious part. Um, the port side, that's the only place where that appears. I'm looking at it right now. The underside does not have any labeling on it whatsoever. Uh, Although it does have kind of an awkward. Can you see it? You can barely see the lettering. There's some like trademark marking right there. It says copyright 2ZCF 20th Century Fox. That's what it means. Yeah, so 2020, I guess, 20th Century Fox. Yeah, so that's a or no, I guess it'd be 20 Century Films. I think that's what they're trying to call it, or that's what they rebranded it. But anyways, in terms of decoration, I did not know that the Orville's name only appears in that one little spot right there. I did not know that. I thought it was equally on the other side, and I thought it was in other places. Hmm. So the Orville's made in a number of pieces. There's the top of the hull and this top ring. That's all one piece. And then the middle ring or the middle loop, I guess, is attached at about this location here. That's where it's mounted onto, and that's a single piece. Is that a single piece? Yes, that is a single piece. And then there's the lower hull, which actually kind of awkwardly stops. There's a big plastic separation line right there, but whatever. So, anyways, there's the lower hull, and then there's the lowermost ring. Has its own piece as well. So that's one, two, three, four pieces that make up the whole ship. Four pieces. So very efficient way of doing it. So, but on the other end, I guess this design was specifically made. I mean, aside from having these three loops, I don't know what the quantum drive is what they call it, but aside from oh wow, hmm, that's a little. The middle loop is. I think they could have for structural sake. I think they could have stretched the middle loop so that instead of stopping here, it would have stretched out a little further. I think that would have helped. In terms of window placement, it seems okay. Although the bridge window, which I'm not opposed to, they deliberately made a window that the bridge does not seem to have a window on the front, or does it? I can't tell. There's a crescent set of windows there, but I'm not certain if that's supposed to be the bridge window or if it's supposed to be a little bit below that. It's difficult to tell. Oh, or was it printed in the wrong place? I'm not certain. Cause I gotta be careful how I set that down. You can see here the window. That's in the proper place, obviously, because that's the filming model. Oh yeah, by the way, the Orville is a 10-foot filming model. Yes, they use a CGI model, but they also use a physical model for motion control photography. Another way that the Orville is awesome, they're using motion control photography to save money on their special effects, which it actually does. I would love to be able to see the filming model of the Orville. That would be fantastic. Um, but just because hey, this is a really neat looking ship. You know? But in terms of the placement of the windows, I'm sorry, there's three windows. I'm not entirely confident they put that in the right place. I think they something looks like something got screwed up, but I'm not exactly certain how. So yeah. But in terms of other window placements, there's these kind of crosshatch marks that appear all over the place. I'm not entirely certain what those are for. Looks like they're trying to imply, probably because it's die-cast metal and you can't in this case you can't quite make as sharp an edge as you perhaps they'd want to. So instead, it's just a groove, and then there's a printed pattern that they use to imply there's a vent, that there's vents going around it. Um, it's not. very evenly, well, not evenly applied, but it looks like they tried, but it didn't work. So maybe a later run they might be able to do it, but I think I can chalk this one up to misalignment when they were printing the pattern onto the top. I think that needs some work. It is a little distracting because it looks more like a zipper, which it's not supposed to be. It's supposed to be some sort of a grate, metal grate or whatever it is that wraps around. It's supposed to be that, but when you look at it in person, it's more like a zipper line, or it's more like clothesline zipper. So that may or may not change with um, later replicas. I'm sorry, I choked a little there. I was expecting the shuttle bay to be painted a little bit. Do they have a sublight engines? I don't know. I want to see what the because there's like additional lights right next to the shuttle bay, so I want to. It's difficult to tell. Because like when the door opens up, that's one thing, but I want to see what the shuttle bay looks like. Come on, show me that shuttle bay. Really? We're not gonna. There's no picture of the shuttle bay. That's annoying. Grr. There's no picture of the. There's no dedicated picture. That's surprising. I would have thought there would be. So, I don't know. I thought there was there's the quantum drive loops. Actually, that's what they're called. They're called loops. The quantum drive loops. There's those things, but then do they have? And that's used for faster than light travel. That's all well and fine. Okay, whatever. But what I'm wondering about is if they have a sublight engines, or if it's just kind of shifting the quantum drive into a lower gear setting or something like that. I don't know. I also don't remember because it's been a while since the Orville's been on the air. I also don't know if it has like weapons or where the weapons ports are located. Now there are four tubes, little black painted areas. Those are like missile launchers, torpedoes, or whatever it is. So that's all well and good. But I don't know if there are other weapons ports. Okay, so you remember the crosshatch pattern I was just telling you about that was printed on in lieu of actually having a grating system or whatever it is? Well, on the bottom side, you've got plastic because the entire top of the primary hull or whatever you want to call it, this is die-cast metal, but the bottom is ABS plastic. And I just now noticed these two patches right there, just above my finger. Those patches, those do have, implied metal grating or whatever. So it was molded into the plastic, but for whatever reason, the metal on the top was not. Oh God, how's this going to be supported? Oh, I know where. Oh, okay, that's cool. All right. But yeah, I don't know if there are any uh, weapons ports or anything like that. I don't know where they are. Because, hey, the Orville does not shoot first and ask questions later. They don't do that. So I don't know. Like, she does shoot, just not very often. So I totally should have worn my Union Fleet shirt when I was shooting this video. I was in such a rush to get this out that I completely forgot about that. Sorry. I didn't even think of that. But anyways, the reason I bring this up is because the Orville is a mid-sized ship. It's actually medium-sized. So the actual ones are actually significant. The like capital ships or whatever are significantly larger. So oh, that reminds me. I should point out that if you don't want to spend the 74, is it like $75? Because this is an XL edition, so it's one of the big ones. Um, you should be made aware that there is a standard size Orville, which is I think a standard size Eaglemoss version of the Orville. It's only about that big, so it's real small. So like comparison would be that's the comparison of the size. So pretty much almost the size of the primary hull, or out to Like from the tip of the nose here to where this first opening begins. That's how long the standard Orville or standard edition Orville replica is. So be aware this is the XL edition. So you're paying a lot more for this. You can't even really whoever designed the Orville, the look of the Orville, whoever designed this ship, um, obviously they were trying to they deliberately distinguishing themselves. They didn't want to look like Star Trek, even though it has the feeling of Star Trek, which it's supposed to. At the same time, it's got that blended hull appearance where everything is smooth and integrated and everything like that. And if you need an example of this, I really should pull out the display stand. You can take a look at the Akira class U.S.S. Thunderchild from Star Trek First Contact, where it did something kind of similar. So instead of having things that are kind of roughly just sticking out, instead it's all smooth and streamlined and all kinds of things like that, which I went over previously when I unboxed this. And everything's got curves, and these things get they're wider out here, and then they get smaller down here. So it's a blended hull configuration is what these are called, where everything is smoothed and neat and clean. And so whoever designed the Orville is obviously trying to distinguish from Star Trek, which it's an homage, not a copy, not a ripoff, not a knockoff. Um, so whoever designed this, you try to look at it. I'm trying to. I was just sitting here just now trying to figure out what the what are they called? The glamour angles are, where you look, where you can. The thing about what Matt Jeffries was doing in 1965 for the pilot episode, the first failed pilot episode, is that no matter what angle you look at the Enterprise, it's instantly recognizable. Well, obviously, any other fictional spaceship, you try to do kind of the same thing, kind of to varying degrees, and I'm not gonna name names or anything like that. I won't. And so, like, I'm trying to figure out what are the angles that the Orville looks good at. Like, if you look at it directly from behind, it's like, oh, okay, that's kind of an organic, oceanic looking thing, And then you can tilt it a little bit. Well, okay, that kind of doesn't look like much of anything. You look at it from the side. Oh, okay, again, it's kind of a squid looking thing, if you want to think of it that way, which is fine. But if you want to look at other interesting angles, you kind of lose it from the front. It's just kind of, it exists. It's like a clam looking thing. You look at it from angle up, there it is. Now you know what you're looking at. Now you can see it. From above or from below, yeah, you're kind of doing the same thing. So yeah, close enough. Um, but I'm guessing this is. I can only imagine what the. I don't know the name of the studio who does the special effects for the Orville, but I can only imagine with that 10-foot filming model. Or is it 10 or 9 foot, something like that? With the official filming model, I have to wonder if the special effects house does similar types of crying and complaining that Industrial Light and Magic did when they were filming the Enterprise Delta for Star Trek The Next Generation. One of the big problems with the Galaxy class is, I mean, it looks neat in person, but one of the problems is that you can't find many good angles of the ship to make it look heroic. You can't do that with the Enterprise D, and that was something that they complained about for 7 straight years. And so I'm wondering, well, now I'm thinking kind of meta, like, oh, I wonder if the special effects house, I wonder if they are saying something similar, like, yeah, there's problems with it. So you can't really do this with when you're just watching the show. But now I'm kind of exploring the geometry of like how these three loops kind of blend into each other and how everything works out. Okay, now I understand it. Wow. I wonder why it is the Eaglemoss only sent just the XL edition. Why didn't they send me the other or see the invoices over there? I wonder why they didn't send the shuttle at the same time. I'm curious about that now. I'm gonna have to go back and double check my payment because I'm fairly certain I bought both the Orville and the shuttle. So maybe there was a delay in the shuttle's production. I don't know. I'm looking at where the separation line for the lower loop. I'm trying to figure out how they did that. Wow, they put that in a very convenient spot. And yes, absolutely, I have had the Orville's theme going through my head this entire time, nonstop. It's just recycling over and over and over. Oh, the maneuvering thrusters are not obviously picked out anywhere on here. Well, it is a different universe. I wonder if the ship kind of uses like a kind of a gravity drive, which is something that Star Trek has always been accused of not taking advantage of, except for like Alien of the Week or whatever. I wonder if maybe that's what it has, which would explain then why it is that there are no sublight engines located anywhere that I can immediately spot. Looks like they had a little bit of trouble. I noticed this earlier, but I'm only just now seeing it. Looks like they had a little bit of trouble getting. Looks like they had trouble getting the metal and the plastic parts to fit together because there's a very obvious seam line all over the place. It's like no matter where I look, there's a problem with it. It's especially obvious. Let's see, how can I show this to you? It's especially obvious in this inner hole here, whatever it is. It's especially obvious in here where the gaps appear. But then there's also along the underside here. You can see that well, I don't know if you can, but I can very obviously see there's a big separation line all the way along the nose there on the underside. So I'm wondering if Eaglemoss might have struggled to get that to work. Kind of an interesting thing. Um, what else am I going to do but compare and contrast? Interesting thing I noticed about the navigation lights, which there are a bunch of flashing lights on the ship, but there's only two that I'm recognizing. That's the port and port and starboard navigation lights, which are green on starboard, which is right, and then red for port on the left side. But what's interesting to me is that the navigation lights are printed on. They're so tiny, I'm not even going to bother showing you. Not only are they printed on, but that I'm aware of, those same lights do not appear anywhere else except for right there. It's like just behind my finger. That's where the starboard navigation light would be. But the interesting thing is the starboard navigation lights do not appear again anywhere else along the side here, and the same thing with the port lights. They don't appear anywhere else here. So there may be beacons, up here or back here, down here, wherever, but they don't repeat the port and starboard navigation lights again anywhere else. The interesting thing about it is that's for ocean going ships, actually for any boat that requires by law to have navigation lights on it, that's not inaccurate because um, oops, because you would only have it near the front of the ship. So the whole reason for having the navigation lights is so you know that which way the ship is pointed. If you see it from this side, you're only seeing the green. If you see it from this side, you're only seeing the red. If you see it from the front, you see both sides, so you know which direction the ship is pointed, and that's good. What's interesting about it is that with Star Trek ships, their navigation lights or their port and starboard navigation lights are all across the sides, or they're at the back and the front and all over the place, which is inaccurate because if you were looking at, I think I'm just going to pull up, let's see, which one has prominence. I'll just go with the NX one because it's the smallest of the ships. With the NX1, you can see here just that little black dot there. It's actually a little red dot right there, and then the associated green dot right there. But here's the interesting thing. At the back of the nacelles on the top, it's printed, there's a red dot right there, there's a green dot right there. The problem with that is if you're looking at the front of the ship and you see those lights, okay, you know which way it's turned. But if you're looking at it from the back, It might be that the ship is going towards you. You might not know the difference if you're looking at it from head on, or if you're looking at it from slightly like this. You wouldn't know which way it's turned. So whoever designed the U.S.S. Orville, they knew that. They kept that in mind, which is why it only has one on either side near the front, and that's it. So they actually did that correctly. I do not know maritime law. Do not ask me about it, but I do know that part. I know that's actually an accurate thing. Any ship that has those port and starboard navigation lights, they only have them on. They only appear one time at the front, or near the back or whatever it is. So you always know which direction the ship is pointed, and whoever designed the Orville, they knew that. I talked about it earlier, and it's still kind of bugging me. Like I wonder. Speaking of nautical stuff, it's interesting. I did not know that the Orville's the registry number and the name are right there, but it's only on it's only on the dorsal port side of the ship. That's the only place where the name appears. It doesn't appear back here where the shuttle bay is. A little shuttle bay right there that you totally can't see because it's in shadow. It doesn't appear on the top. It doesn't appear on the bottom. It's just that's the only marker. One of the big issues with Star Trek, which is something we usually don't talk about, but one of the big things is that you would not, if you're presenting a ship towards the enemy, you do not want to be able to uniquely identify which ship is which, unless you're an ally, in which case, then you would want to. But you would not do that by plastering your hull number or your registry number on the top, on the front, on the back, on the sides, in multiple places all over. That is something that you would not do. So it's interesting, again, somebody did their research. In the future, you're only going to need that one little signature right there. If anything, it should have been like maybe on the back of the ship. That's an acceptable thing to do. But you only see the hull number and the name one time. That to me is interesting. That to me shows research. For all the things that Star Trek ships are accused of doing, that's one, and as nautical friendly as Star Trek ships tend to be, because they are, that's one thing that they usually don't get right, is that the navigation beacons are usually all over the place and don't make a lot of sense. And the other one is that their hull numbers and names are plastered all over. If you have an IFF, which is Identify Friend or Foe beacon, so that you know who allies are, then why would you need your own hull number displayed all over the place so that the enemy can record which ship is which and keep track of which one was spotted where and when? That makes sense. And it's something that Star Trek has not addressed. That's an interesting thing. Whoever made this, and hopefully I'll find out in a moment, whoever did design this thing, they knew what they were doing. Don't make it look like the Enterprise, but try to be as close to realistic as possible. Whoever did this, they knew what they were doing. They absolutely knew what they were doing. Let's get you on your display stand. I'm curious to see how this hooks up. For those of you who are Eaglemoss collectors who have a lot more than I do, if you can tell me like the number of the run or whatever it is. This particular one is 5197-A/A. So if it's like this is first run, second run, I'm guessing this is first run. So, yeah. And the mounting point for the display stand is exactly the same as all the either Eaglemoss ones I get. But anyways, the stand will be mounted in the center. And of course the display stand, the mounting point is unique. Oh, I hope this fits well. That was a complaint that I had with a couple of the Star Trek display stands, is that they don't quite fit. Alright, you don't fit that way, so I'll turn you around. Still doesn't like going any further than that. And I'm not going to look at the instructions to figure this one out. Nope, I was wrong. These go around the shuttle bay. Huh, okay, that's not where I thought it was going to be attached. Yep. It is loosely attached to the shuttle bay. So yeah, this comes off well. It's kind of hard to tell. Actually, I'll call that a solid fit. That's snug enough that you might actually scratch. Actually, yeah, you might scratch some paint on this eventually. Which it's gonna happen. Whatever. Hmm. Okay. So there's the Orville on its display stand. I'll show you where it hooks up. Hooks up to either side of the shuttle bay. So good deal. Good deal. So, because the Orville is still such a new series, I mean, there's only been 2 seasons at this point, and its third season was delayed because of the thing that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube that comes from the place that we're not allowed to talk about on YouTube. Because its history is so limited and it's so small at this point, Eaglemoss made the decision to just release the booklet as one of the smaller booklets. Now, there's still a lot of pages in here. It goes up to 15 pages. But just because there's so little information, you only get a small booklet. It's not a full size magazine type thing. Yes. And keep in mind, folks, this is not Star Trek. So it's not being treated like Star Trek. It's just a ship from a TV series that had a demand for. So it's not going to treat it quite the same way. Fleet is the Planetary Union. Her role is an exploratory class. Her armory is plasma cannons, torpedoes, and deflector screens. So they're just called torpedoes, and that's it. An exploratory class vessel, the U.S.S. Orville investigates the mysteries of the Alpha Quadrant. Ooh, do they call it the Alpha Quadrant? Because that's a Star Trek term. I don't know. I don't. I mean, it might be. Maybe it is. In September 2419, Admiral Halsey of the Planetary Union appointed Ed Mercer as the new captain of the Orville, and the ship set out on a new mission. One of 3,000 ships in the Union, a 25th century interstellar alliance of Earth and many other planets in the Alpha Quadrant of the galaxy, the U.S.S. Orville, ECV 197, was designated to was designed to explore great distances and map uncharted space. Home to approximately 300 crew members and their families, the Orville has science, security, engineering, and medical sections. The craft consists of a bridge, crew quarters and offices, shuttle bay, sick bay, brig, engineering decks, mess hall, school classroom, and armory. As a mid-level exploratory exploration class starship, the Orville is smaller than the massive Leviathan class, twice the size of the Orville, but larger than other Union fleet vessels. Okay, yeah, so I was right earlier. It's twice as big. If I'd been wearing my, I should totally pull out my Union shirt and just stop being lazy. Give me a second. I'm gonna pull it out. There. Now I don't feel so bad. So let's see here. Got the Leviathan class, the Exploration Class A, which is the Orville herself, Exploration Class B, which is smaller, has only one quantum loop rather than three. We've got the Cruiser Class. Actually, you guys can read this better than me. The we've got the Science Class. The what's this? What's this word? Oh, the Fighter Class. And the my microphone. I'm sorry. And the Transport Class. So those are the different types of ships, and there's about 3,000 of these spread across the galaxy. So yeah. So anyways, yeah, the Orville, which is right here, is like half the size of their largest ship. So yeah, it's capital ships. The spacecraft's sleek design has a nautical style hull and three quantum drive rings at the rear. As helmsman Gordon Malloy puts it, quote, "You paint some flames on the side, maybe like a rainbow unicorn, you got something." It's good to know the humor from the show makes it into the pamphlet. That's good. The three quantum engine rings compress and expand space using phase inducers. Wow, there's a phrase I haven't heard for a while. I should point out, this pamphlet is not specific to season one. It very much has some season two stuff in here. So if you haven't watched the Orville at all, you may want to watch both seasons before you purchase this, because there are big spoilers for season 2 in here. Oh, I didn't even realize that. Most of the most of the windows, like the crew quarters or whatever, are only on the top of the ship. They're not even on the bottom. I didn't even think of that. Huh? That didn't even occur to me. The only forward-facing windows. Huh? Yeah. There's no window, or there's no. I didn't even think of that. Now I gotta like check to see for myself. Yeah, there are no windows on the bottom. Um. Okay. So ordinarily with Star Trek or with Eaglemoss's Star Trek Starship Collectors lineup, the windows are usually painted black or they're painted white. On the Orville, they are pale blue. The exception being the windows of the bridge, the dome, and there's a row of windows just under the bridge. There's a row of windows just underneath the bridge there, so which you totally can't see. I apologize. Yeah. So, but otherwise, all the other windows that are only on the top of the ship. It's only on the top, which I didn't know that. Yeah. So like the CG model that I'm looking at here, you can see the top of the ship. The windows are pointed out quite clearly. They appear as white, but on the 10-inch replica, they appear as light blue, not white. Hey, it looks like glass. How about that? I wish I could read this, but it's a spoiler, so I can't. Well, I'll try and censor some of this. There are at least three environmental simulators. There are at least three aboard the Orville, with Environmental Simulator 3 being the source of a. I can't talk about that. A roughly 15 square foot room lined with panels like a graph. It is a virtual reality system used by the crew. Yeah, so there's a season 2 spoiler right there. I can't say that. I love that. That's so shameless. Uh-oh, there's a spelling error here. They're describing the upper level of the ship. It's called the upper deck. Includes the bridge, a briefing room, the captain's office, and the upper part of his quarters. Suddenly, I don't remember what his quarters look like. As well as stairwells row the lower levels at several points. Instead of saying or, it says or no. Let's see. Oh, it should say two. Instead, it says row. Because like R and T are right next to each other, so somebody accidentally hit the R key rather than the T key, so it says row. The upper part, as well as stairwells row, it should say the stairwells to the lower levels at several points. So there's a spelling error right there. You'd think they'd have an editor for something like that. Really? Richard Jackson, you're listed as the editor. You should have checked that. And the writer is Ian Chaddock. Ian Chaddock. Spelled. I don't think there's a word in the English language that says row. At least not spelled that way. So that's two guys who missed it. Even I do spelling errors. Give me a break. But still, if you've got somebody double checking your work, that's a little spelling error right there, and that's on page 9. So, oh well. Yeah. Okay. So here's the weird thing. They show quick summaries of each. Captain Ed Mercer, portrayed by Seth MacFarlane. Oh, that's how you spell his name. Okay. And then there's a quick summary underneath each one. After a rough year where he caught his wife having an affair with a blue alien and struggled with alcohol and depression, Mercer was given his chance for redemption in command of the Orville, and so on and so forth. Oh, huh. And it also shows their ranks. The I want to say combat is so badly, but that's wrong. But the badge insignia. Oh, including both security officers. Um, God damn it! I can't believe they actually highlight that episode. I don't believe it. keeping it PG-13, folks. Um, this does not do what I thought it would. I thought they would talk about designing the ship. I thought they'd have like an interview with whoever designed, but they don't. They only talk about things like they talk about the function of the ship, and they also highlight a couple of episodes. But then I'm not against this. I mean, they have this, but I feel like I'm being treated the same way I was with the XL edition of the NX-01 Enterprise, where it's like, okay, yeah, you're talking about the ship, but you didn't talk about the design of the ship. You didn't talk about it was Doug Drexler who designed the NX-1 Enterprise. You didn't have any of that. Instead, you just talked about the show, but you hardly talked about the ship itself. You didn't talk about any of the designs or the features or anything like that. So I kind of feel like the exact same thing is happening here. Now, as I said earlier, because the show is still so new, or I mean, it's only 2 seasons, they obviously don't have a lot of material to work with. So that's why the physical size of this is so small. That being said, I would like to have seen, concept sketches. I would like to have seen in progress um, concept sketches. I would like to see an interview with the people who designed this ship. It doesn't necessarily have to be McFarlane himself. Like if he wants to have if he wants to get some quotes in here, that's all well and good. But like I mean, considering this is the XL edition, I was expecting. Well, first of all, I was expecting a full size magazine. But second, I was expecting more information on the ship rather than just highlights from the seasons, from the 2 seasons. That's what I was expecting. So I hope at some point that Eaglemoss, and as I mentioned earlier, no, they did make a standard size U.S.S. Orville. So I'm guessing that will be the counterpoint that I'm looking for, kind of like what they did with the NX-1 Enterprise. I'm just fucking saying. So, yeah, you're not going to get a whole lot of. Actually, you're not going to get any behind the scenes information out of this, which does disappoint me considering the XL editions are usually pretty good at that, at least in terms of Star Trek they are. But for the Orville, I understand why they did it, but that's no excuse for not providing some behind the scenes detail for the XL edition. So, I'll have to check to see what the smaller Orville design is, or the smaller, standard edition Orville. See what their magazine has to say. So I'm gonna have to look up someone else's review. I mean, this had been out for pre-order for quite a while when I got it, and I'm like, it's getting kind of close to the end of the pre-order. Fuck it, I'm here for the cause, and I bought it. So yeah, I would like I'd like more information. Like that's one of the things I actually like about the Eagle Moss Star Trek Starships line or Starship Collection line is that they have so much information on each and every ship, even if it doesn't appear for very long. I was blown away with how much information there was on the U.S.S. Kelvin from the 2009 movie, and yet it's only on screen for not even 5 minutes. And there was tons of information about it, and there were lots of detailed drawings, and they show the progression of the ship breaking up, and like that was really really great. And most of the other ships, yeah, have had the same thing. So for the XL edition USS Orville, wait, does it say USS? Am I saying that wrong? I thought it was USS. Yeah, it's USS Orville. Okay. But anyways, yeah, I was expecting a little more. I was expecting more behind the scenes. Yeah, I was expecting behind the scenes goodies about this, not just paraphrasing of episodes or whatever. So that's a little disappointing. But yeah, what I ended up with here is still pretty doggone sweet. I really hope that we get a oh crap, what are they called? I hope we get some Kalon ships because those Kalon ships were neat looking. And who are they called? There's so many. What race are they called? Krill. That's the race they're called. Like there's Krill, there's Krell, there's Krull, there's Kral. So the Krill are one of the antagonist alien races. The Krill ships, which you see in the very first episode, are very impressive. If they make a 10-inch version of that Krill like battle cruiser, whatever it is. Oh yes, I want to get one of those absolutely. So hopefully, um, the Orville collector's line or whatever it is from Eaglemoss will take off. Hopefully it will, and they will continue to make more ships that I'm aware of. I assume they're just waiting to see what the feedback is on this, and hopefully my video will contribute in some small way, of course. But they're probably waiting to see what the demand is, if there is a demand. I can imagine that even if you're a fan of the show, you're not necessarily a fan of this particular spaceship design. Um, I mean, I like it just because I like it. But if you're a trekker and you're going over to the Orville and you see something like this, there may be some hesitation and you might not be inclined to buy it. In which case, I would say support the cause by going for the smaller version, the $25 version, and you're helping to support it, even if you're not getting a huge version of it. So um, yeah. Ooh, where's that? There was a little bit of it's not flashing. I can't think of what that is, but there's a little bit of on the middle loop, on the top of the middle loop. There's a little bit of plastic distortion where it was removed from the molding process or whatever it is. So, oh, I know why they did it that way too. Hmm. But yeah, there's some very much not part of the ship design. There's some rings that appear in 4 different locations. It's like, okay, I understand why they put it in that location, but that being said, I'm gonna get lost in this. I already have at this point. So, yay, yay! I am pleased with the results for the most part. I am pleased with the results. Absolutely, I recommend getting this. Absolutely, there's tiny imperfections, but it's not like Eaglemoss hasn't had that happen before. So, but I wouldn't. That's not a red flag. I don't be concerned about the imperfections because they are so small and really insignificant. I think the most significant flaw you're going to come across is the kind of zipper looking band that goes all the way around that upper deck. That is a problem. So that's probably the most glaring decoration error on the whole thing. So that may very well be a problem for you. I'm not certain. Okay, I am pleased. Well, I wanted to do an unboxing today. Turns out I ended up doing one anyways. Just not in the order that I thought it was going to be. Whatever. Oh, you know what just occurred to me? I really hope that if the Orville line takes off, I don't know how this would be done. Who owns that? DreamWorks owns that. So, yeah, that might work. If the Orville line takes off, I hope that there's a petition to release the NSEA protector from Galaxy Quest in a 10-inch version. If there is, I know there's a model kit of it, but I don't want a model kit. I want this. This is what I want. If Eaglemoss ever makes a 10-inch NSEA protector, oh God, I would be all over that like ugly on ape. I would love Eaglemoss to make a protector. That would be fantastic. Oh God. I wonder if the person who designed this, who I still don't know who designed the Orville. I still don't know who designed it because the little mini mag doesn't say. Grr. Whoever designed this, I wonder if they took inspiration from Galaxy Quest. It would make sense to some degree. Okay, I am done. Not much else I can say at this point. And so with that, this is AV Unit 4A saying thank you for tuning in.